So Joe Biden has cleared the 270 vote mark as electors affirm his victory. But it's happened. Doubtful Republicans holding on to a pipe dream. The pipe dream is over now. The Electoral College gave Joe Biden a solid majority today, confirming his victory in last month's election in state-by-state voting that took the added importance this year because Donald Trump refused to concede that he lost, and he lost. California's 55 electoral votes put Biden over the top, clearing that 270 vote mark, confirming Joe Biden as the nation's next president. Oh, it's a sad day for Trump. He, for the most part, stayed out of sight of cameras. Heightened security had been placed around the electors in some states. Electors cast paper ballots in gatherings that took place in the 50 states and the District of Columbia with masks, social distancing, and other virus precautions, especially today like today. The results will be sent to Washington and tallied in a January 6th joint session of Congress, which Vice President Mike Pence, the number 2 robot in the country, will preside. He's going to be so sad. You know what? Maybe Trump and his cronies are going to try to mess with those ballots. There was little suspense and no change as all of the electoral votes allotted to Biden and Trump in last month's popular vote went to each man. So often, Democrats have been frustrated with the electoral process, thinking that it's outdated, which it is, convoluted, which it is, that the popular vote should be the one. And a lot of times, when you win the popular vote, but you lose in electoral math, that would be the position that you take. Understandably so. In 2016, Hillary Clinton won the popular vote by a lot, but she lost in the electoral math. 4 years later, Democrats win the popular vote by even more, but this time, the electoral math added up. So while I think that the Electoral College should go away, the Republicans are equally sad and mad because they lost the popular vote, which they normally will, and they lost the convoluted, complicated creation to keep them in power, and they messed that up, and they lost that as well. So they're double mad. They're double mad. In this battle for the soul of America, democracy prevailed. President-elect Joe Biden said, when all the votes are in Biden, 306 to Trump's 232. Biden topped Trump by more than 7 million in the popular vote nationwide. Let that sink in. Down goes Trump. Down goes Trump. Down goes Trump. And it couldn't have happened to a worse person. Biden has renewed his campaign promise to be a president for all Americans, whether they voted for him or not. That's what he's saying. He said that the country has hard work ahead because of the virus and the economy, and it's true. There was no concession from the White House, and we don't expect it to be, and it doesn't need to be. Oh, well, you don't have to say the words. I'm not a fan of all of this pageantry and ceremony, and we already know the results. The people voted, and this one, take the paper over here, and you have to say these words. And we don't say, forget all of that. He doesn't have to say the words. He doesn't have to say the words. He doesn't have to accept it. But just understand, you getting out of here. And if he wants to take Air Force One to Mar-a-Lago or some other place on the day of the inauguration, understand you're going to need a way home, because once he's sworn in, you're not the president anymore. So you get off this plane. So don't make sure you take another plane. So you make sure you have a way home, Trump. The Stop the Steal rallies across the nation, they're going to dwindle down. Stop the steal. The only thief is Trump. So no concession needs to happen. He says that he worries about the country having an illegitimate president. Trump was an illegitimate, ill-prepared president. A bad businessman, a bad politician. Because a good politician, a good business person, would have handled his businesses better and would have handled this country better. So, on Monday in Arizona, Georgia, Nevada, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, the 6 battleground states that Biden won and Trump contested, electors gave Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris their votes in a low-key proceeding. Nevada's electors met via Zoom because of the pandemic. So Trump's tried to undermine this election, the results, leading to concerns about safety for these very electors. This has been virtually unheard of in previous years. This guy is the one that y'all want to get behind? In Michigan, lawmakers from both parties received threats. Legislative offices were closed because of threats of violence. Biden won that state by 154,000 votes, or almost 3 percentage points over Trump. This is the guy that you want to support, Donald Trump? You can see across the country the effect that his lies have been having on his supporters and other participants in his treasonous syndicate. In Georgia, state police were out in force at the state capitol in Atlanta before the Democratic electors pledged for Biden. There were no protesters seen, thankfully. Even with the Electoral College's confirmation over this election, some Republicans continued to refuse to acknowledge that reality. Hold on a second. I said that even after all of this, some Republicans continue to refuse to acknowledge the reality that Joe Biden is the president-elect. Their opposition to Joe Biden has no effect on the process whatsoever. He's going to be sworn in next month. But the thing that is very disturbing about this, they're going to continue to act like, these Republicans are going to continue to act like Biden's illegitimate. These Republicans have to be held accountable. There have to be political consequences for this hypocrisy. There has to be. You need to remember what these Republicans are doing. They need to be voted out. Hold on. They need to be voted out. Just tuning in, it's your man Dominic K in here. Of course, radioonfire.com, thedominicshow.com, 7 p.m. daily. I am here mornings and evenings, giving you my thoughts on the top news stories of the day. For the record, if you remember, Donald Trump was holding a lot of stake in these Supreme Court justices that he helped push through. And he really wanted to push through Amy Coney Barrett. They got her through, and he thought that that was going to help him out a whole lot. That's what he thought. But even somebody like her, went with the law and rejected his efforts, his foolishness, all of that. Rejected that foolishness. So I'm glad to hear that sometimes it works out in the end. Of course, Biden has not been sworn in yet. He will be. Eventually, Trump's going to obviously accept that democracy has prevailed. Let me say that again. Hold that. Democracy has prevailed. Joe Biden aims to unify this nation, a nation that is divided. President-elect Joe Biden will tell Americans and show by his actions that his victory in last month's election was the right decision for Americans. So he gave a speech. If anyone didn't know it before, we know it now. What beats deep in the hearts of the American people is this: democracy. So, it's been a tough road. It's been a hard 4 years. There were times when the economy was good. Obviously, right now, the economy is bad. Joe Biden garnering a record of more than 81 million votes. Biden is trying to build some momentum as he prepares to assume this office January the 20th, 2021. So Trump refusing to concede, and that's fine. Whatever. Trump's actions have threatened the core democratic norms. This is no surprise. Biden says he's going to be a president for all Americans who will work just as hard for those who did not vote for me as those who did. Donald Trump did not do that. Now, he didn't even work hard for the people that voted for him. He didn't even work hard for the people that voted for him. But such is life. That is fast moving into our rearview mirror. This long nightmare, this American nightmare, the nightmare of Donald Trump running the country, almost over. The president-elect himself has said that this is not about his family or Donald Trump's family. It's about the American people's family. And I think that we're going to continue to stay focused on the issues that are impacting their daily lives, coming from a Biden team member. So glad to hear that. I'm very glad to hear that, actually. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, TikTok at The Don McKay Show, at Radio on Fire. President-elect Joe Biden. This has been a long, hard road for him. As I said, security has been heightened for electors. Crazy. Let's listen to the president-elect.
Don't take power. People grant power to them. The flame of democracy was lit in this nation a long time ago. And we now...
That's what he said. The flame was lit long time ago. That is our president-elect. That is our president-elect. It's so funny because this time last year, it did not seem like he was going to be the one to win this thing. Did not seem like that.
They showed a deep and unwavering faith in and a commitment to the law. They did their duty in the face of a pandemic. And then they could not and would not give credence to what they knew was not true. They knew this election was overseen by them. It was honest, it was free, and it was fair. They saw it with their own eyes, and they wouldn't be bullied into saying anything different. It was truly remarkable because so many of these patriotic Americans are subject to so much, enormous political pressure, verbal abuse, and even threats of physical violence. While we all wish that our fellow Americans in these positions will always show such courage and commitment to free and fair elections, it is my sincere hope we never again see anyone subjected to the kind of threats and abuse we saw in this election. It's simply unconscionable. We owe these public servants a debt of gratitude. They didn't seek the spotlight. And our democracy survived because of them, which is proof, once more, that it's everyday Americans infused with honor, character, and decency that is the heart of this nation. In this election, their integrity was matched by their strength, independence, and the integrity of our judicial system. In America, when questions are raised about the legitimacy of any election, those questions are resolved through the legal processes. And that's precisely what happened here. The Trump campaign brought dozens and dozens and dozens of legal challenges to test the result. They were heard again and again. And each of the time they were heard, they were found to be without merit. Time and again, President Trump's lawyers presented arguments to state officials, state legislatures, state and federal courts, and ultimately to the United States Supreme Court twice. They were heard by more than 80 judges across this country, and in every case, no cause or evidence was found to reverse or question or dispute the results. A few states went for recounts. All the counts were confirmed. The results in Georgia were counted 3 times. Didn't change the outcome. The recount conducted in Wisconsin actually saw our margin grow. The margin we had in Michigan was 14 times the margin President Trump won that state by 4 years ago. Our margin in Pennsylvania was nearly twice the size of the Trump margin 4 years ago. And yet, none of this has stopped baseless claims about the legitimacy of the results. Even more stunning, 17 Republican attorneys general and 126 Republican members of the Congress actually signed on to a lawsuit filed by the state of Texas. That lawsuit asked the United States Supreme Court to reject the certified vote counts in Georgia, Michigan, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin. This legal maneuver was an effort by elected officials and one group of states to try to get the Supreme Court to wipe out the votes of more than 20 million Americans in other states, and to hand the presidency to a candidate who lost the Electoral College, lost the popular vote, and lost each and every one of the states whose votes they were trying to reverse. It's a position so extreme, we've never seen it before. A position that refused to respect the will of the people, refused to respect the rule of law, and refused to honor our Constitution. Thankfully, a unanimous Supreme Court immediately and completely rejected this effort. The court sent a clear signal to President Trump that there would be no part of an unprecedented assault on our democracy. Every single avenue was made available to President Trump to contest the results. He took full advantage of each and every one of those avenues. President Trump was denied no course of action he wanted to take. He took his case to Republican governors and Republican Secretary of State, as he criticized many of them, to Republican state legislatures, to Republican-appointed judges at every level. And in a case decided after the Supreme Court's latest rejection, a judge appointed by President Trump wrote, quote, "This court has allowed the plaintiff the chance to make his case, and he has lost on the merits." End of quote. Lost on the merits. Even President Trump's own cybersecurity chief, overseeing our elections, said it was the most secure election in American history, and summarily was let go. Let me say it again. His own cybersecurity chief, overseeing this election, said it was the most secure in American history. You know, respecting the will of the people is at the heart of our democracy, even when we find those results hard to accept. But that's the obligation of those who've taken on a sworn duty to uphold the Constitution. 4 years ago, when I was a sitting vice president of the United States, it was my responsibility to announce the tally of the Electoral College votes in the joint session of Congress that voted to elect Donald Trump. I did my job. And I'm pleased, but not surprised, by the number of my former Republican colleagues in the Senate who have acknowledged already the results of the Electoral College. I thank them, and I'm convinced we can work together for the good of the nation on many subjects. That's the duty owed to the people, to our Constitution, to our history. You know, in this battle for the soul of America, democracy prevailed. We, the people, voted. Faith in our institutions held. The integrity of our elections remains intact. And now it's time to turn the page, as we've done throughout our history, to unite, to heal. As I said in this campaign, I will be president for all Americans. I'll work just as hard for those of you who didn't vote for me as I will for those who did. There's urgent work in front of us, getting this pandemic under control and getting the nation vaccinated against this virus, delivering immediate economic help so badly needed by so many Americans who are hurting today, and then building our economy back better than it ever was. In doing so, we need to work together to give each other a chance to lower the temperature. And most of all, we need to stand in solidarity as fellow Americans, to see each other, our pains, our struggles, our hopes, and our dreams. We're a great nation. We're good people. We may come from different places, hold different beliefs, but we share in common a love for this country, a belief in its limitless possibilities. For we, the United States of America, has always set the example for the world for a peaceful transition of power. We'll do so again. I know the task before us won't be easy. It's tempered by the pain so many of us are feeling. Today, our nation passed a grim milestone, 300,000 deaths due to this COVID virus. My heart goes out to each of you in this dark winter of the pandemic. about to spend the holidays and the new year with a black hole in your hearts, without the ones you loved at your side. My heart goes out to all of you who have fallen in hard times through no fault of your own, unable to sleep at night, staring at the ceiling, and weighed down by the worry of what tomorrow will bring for you, and equally important for your family. But we've faced difficult times before in our history. I know we'll get through this one, but together. That's how we get through it, together. So as we start the hard work to be done, may this moment give us the strength to rebuild this house of ours upon a rock that can never be washed away. As in the prayer of St. Francis, for where there is discord, union, where there is doubt, faith, where there is darkness, light. This is who we are as a nation. This is the America we love. And that is the America we're going to be. So thank you all. May God bless you. And may God protect our troops and all those who stand watch over our democracy. Thank you.
All right. That was President-elect Joe Biden speaking.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right. That was Joe Biden speaking. I wanted somebody to get that man a cup of water. Anyway, the Electoral College certifies Joe Biden's election victory as pressure mounts for Donald Trump to concede. Pressure is mounting. Just tune in to Jermaine Diamond K, RadioFire.com, TheDiamondKShow.com. I'm glad that we have passed this part of the journey. Hopefully, Republicans, Trump supporters will accept the reality. Take a quick break. Come back with more of the program after this.
As a mom, I have to talk to my son about the way he carries himself, the way he talks, the way he walks, making sure that he doesn't put his hood on his head. Someone may see him as a threat just because of the color of his skin. They don't know that he's a straight A and B student. They don't know that he loves to help his little sister. Instead of college talk, we're talking about coming home alive. The most important thing that we can do is to get out and vote. Jon Ossoff is going to fight for a new Civil Rights Act to stop police brutality and racial profiling. We need Jon Ossoff in the Senate. When I say he's not a typical candidate, he's not. He really cares about people. Right now, we have the power to start making change. Early voting starts on December the 14th. Make sure you vote.
I'm Jon Ossoff, and I approve this message.
Raphael Warnock grew up in a house full of brothers and sisters. His parents taught him the value of hard work, like me.
Like me, he was first in his family to graduate from college and went on to earn a PhD.
He thinks insurance companies should not be allowed to discriminate against people with pre-existing conditions, like me.
Like me, Reverend Warnock knows that both parties in Washington could use some moral leadership.
I'm Raphael Warnock, and I approve this message because it's time we had a senator who put Georgians first, like me.
Welcome back to the Diamond K Show. You man Diamond K in here, RadioFire.com, TheDiamondKShow.com. And we just heard the president-elect speaking about America coming together, accepting the results of the election, obviously. Joe Biden's going to be sworn in January the 20th. That is the will of Americans. So you just heard on the break, you just heard commercials for the Democratic candidates in this important Senate race. Georgia runoff election. These were commercials for John Ossoff and Raphael Warnock. They are the ones that should be elected. Georgians. Polls opened up today, early voting today. So on Christmas night, we're going to be having the Jingle Jam, which is a voters rally and a virtual concert. Christmas night, 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific, right here on RadioFire.com. Make sure you tune in. So the singer Anne Marie, I don't know if you heard this story or not, accused of shooting a friend in the head, out of jail, and under house arrest, according to reports. So she is accused of shooting a man in the head inside a Georgia hotel room in Buckhead earlier this month. She is out of jail and awaiting trial on house arrest. She was born Joan Marie Slater. Claims the nearly deadly shooting of her childhood friend on December 1st was an accident, telling cops that night that the gun fell off a table and fired at least one round. Authorities said. Fired at least one round. Slater is 25 years old and was released from a Fulton County jail after posting the $60,000 bond. A judge has since placed her on house arrest and ordered her to wear the ankle monitor. That was reported yesterday by TMZ. In addition, this Chicago singer can only travel for work with prior approval and must have no contact with the victim. Police in Atlanta say that Slater was screaming and crying hysterically when they arrived at the Intercontinental Buckhead, Atlanta, the night of the shooting. It's a nice spot, been there several times. They noted that although she was visibly upset, no tears in her eyes. So, this is a sad situation here, sad case. Not sure how this is going to end up, but singer Anne Marie out on bail on house arrest. So just tuning in, your man Diamond K in here, RadioFire.com, thediamondkshow.com. So, I mean, there is so much going on. We have a COVID-19 vaccine rushed to market, not even to market, rushed for emergency use. So there's that. There's that. Also in the news, Michael Jackson's estate. Michael Jackson's estate wins an appeal in the HBO Leaving Neverland lawsuit. We'll talk about that right after this. So, the estate of Michael Jackson was awarded a victory today when an appeals court ruled that the estate can pursue arbitration in the lawsuit over HBO's Leaving Neverland documentary. You remember this foolishness that HBO put out, disparaging the name of the late, great Michael Jackson. One of the greatest performers and singers of all time. HBO did this hit piece on Michael Jackson. It was distasteful. Oprah Winfrey, she got involved in the whole fiasco. So the King of Pop, as Michael Jackson's often called, the King of Pop, his estate, sued HBO for $1 million over this documentary. $100 million. Did I say that? Did you get that? $100 million over this documentary. HBO got sued. So in this documentary, some of you may have seen it. Some of you may have chose to intentionally not watch it. But in this documentary, it accused the late icon of sexually abusing two underage boys. Now, we've heard these type of accusations before, but let's understand something. This man is dead. This man is dead. So this is about money. This was a money grab for a lot of the people involved. So anyway, you may wonder how and why a lawsuit even came about from the estate of Michael Jackson. So King of Pop, his estate suing for that $100 million, suing HBO. The estate argued that the documentary violated a non-disparagement clause from the Dangerous Tours 1992 concert film. So, understand this. Michael Jackson's estate's attorneys, they're on point. HBO didn't probably even realize this. But HBO responded to the lawsuit by accusing the Jackson estate of attempting to silence sex abuse victims and argued that the clause is irrelevant to the dispute. So they started doing their research and they saw, well, this clause doesn't apply here. We can't let them use this clause. Anyway, HBO appealed the lower court's ruling that the estate could take the dispute to arbitration. So then a 3-judge panel of the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeal upheld the lower court's ruling, but acknowledged that the Jackson estate's lawsuit could be frivolous. Could be frivolous. So, the contract contained in the broad arbitration clause that covers claims that HBO disparaged Jackson in violation of an ongoing confidentiality obligations. The panel ruled this. We may only identify whether the parties agreed to arbitrate such claims. It is for the arbitrator to decide whether those claims are meritorious. Whether those claims had merit. That's what that means, right? So a whole bunch of lawyers speak back and forth. HBO tried to argue that it never planned on granting Michael Jackson or his heirs any veto power over anything said about him, and the network's lawyer claimed the 1992 contract had effectively expired once each side fulfilled its obligations. Nice try. However, the panel rejected that argument and stated an arbitration clause can still bind the parties even if the parties fully performed the contract years ago. So, HBO, the network's current options include appealing the panel's ruling to the full Ninth Circuit or arguing its case in front of an arbitrator. So Michael Jackson's attorneys issued a statement praising the ruling. They said that the trial judge and now the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals have unanimously rejected HBO's arguments. In the court's own words, HBO agreed that it would not make any disparaging remarks concerning Jackson. It's time for HBO to answer for its violation of its obligations to Michael Jackson. Well, this has been an interesting thing. But HBO hating on Michael Jackson, trying to make extra money off this man. They wanted to destroy Michael Jackson because he's an unrivaled great. His attorneys, the attorneys for his estate, great job. I think that Oprah should be next. Oprah should be next. So, the accusers, this is just a futile attempt to tear down one of our great icons, Michael Jackson. So I'm glad that the estate stood up to HBO. Glad to hear that. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, TikTok, at The Diamond K Show, at Radio on Fire. Take a quick break. Come back with more of the show. After this.
Ready to change the world?
Ben & Jerry's and Colin Kaepernick are teaming up in the struggle against police violence,
systemic racism,
and white supremacy. It's time to dismantle systems of oppression
and create alternatives rooted in community, accountability, and well-being.
This is what resistance looks like. And it's rooted in joy, love, and justice. All of Colin's proceeds from our new certified vegan non-dairy flavor go to Know Your Rights Camp,
an organization he launched in 2016 to advance the liberation of Black and brown people.
Let's serve up some joy on the journey to justice.
Together, we can change the world.
As a mom, I have to talk to my son about the way he carries himself, the way he talks, the way he walks, making sure that he doesn't put his hood on his head. Someone may see him as a threat just because of the color of his skin. They don't know that he's a straight A and B student. They don't know that he loves to help his little sister. Instead of college talk, we're talking about coming home alive. The most important thing that we can do is to get out and vote. Jon Ossoff is going to fight for a new Civil Rights Act to stop police brutality and racial profiling. We need Jon Ossoff in the Senate. When I say he's not a typical candidate, he's not. He really cares about people. Right now, we have the power to start making change. Early voting starts on December the 14th. Make sure you vote.
I'm Jon Ossoff, and I approve this message.
Raphael Warnock grew up in a house full of brothers and sisters. His parents taught him the value of hard work, like me.
Like me, he was first in his family to graduate from college and went on to earn a PhD.
He thinks insurance companies should not be allowed to discriminate against people with pre-existing conditions, like me.
Like me, Reverend Warnock knows that both parties in Washington could use some moral leadership.
I'm Raphael Warnock, and I approve this message because it's time we had a senator who put Georgians first, like me.
Welcome back to the show. Your man Diamond K in here. RadioFire.com, TheDiamondKShow.com. All social media at The Diamond K Show. So New York Governor Andrew Cuomo accused of sexual harassment by a former staffer. So she has made these accusations. She said yesterday on Twitter that bunch of things. It was then how I learned how hard it is for women, how hard this world can be for us when we are trying to be taken seriously and help our community, how easily jerks can destroy the lives of women. And I promised myself I would never let those kind of guys win. I would work hard my whole life to put myself in positions of power to change things, to end the violence and corruption. Give voice to the voiceless. I am not stopping. I refuse to give up. According to reports, Governor Andrew Cuomo has been accused of sexual harassment by this former staffer, Lindsay Boylan. Boylan claimed that Cuomo harassed her for years during her time as a staffer and took to Twitter to reveal more details about this alleged situation. She also said on Twitter, she added him as well. At New York Governor Cuomo sexually harassed me for years. Many saw it and watched. I could never anticipate what to expect. Would I be grilled on my work, which was very good, or harassed about my looks? Or would it be both in the same conversation? This was the way for many years. Since then, Cuomo's press secretary, Caitlin Gerard, responded to the claims saying there is simply no truth to these claims. So he is denying whatever Lindsay Boylan is saying about him. So, Cuomo is, not a darling of the right. Not a darling of the right. He's been in the public eye, just because he's governor of New York. It's a very high profile position. But she is a New York City Democratic candidate. She's running for an office, and she claims that Cuomo has harassed her for years. She's a candidate for Manhattan Borough President, and she is a former advisor to Governor Cuomo. So it appears that she worked for the governor's office from 2015 to 2018. She did not provide any specifics in the Twitter thread and stated that she has no interest in talking to journalists. What are you doing this for? Saying that she could never anticipate what to expect. Grilled on her work. That's sexual harassment? Grilled on her work? Or harassed about her looks? What does she mean by that? This is a hell of a statement. And I don't think that people should be allowed to make statements like this without proof. Just throwing stuff out there. She's running for office. Did I say that already? This report, this accusation comes at a very bad time for Governor Cuomo. This is a time of intense scrutiny for Governor Cuomo. He's trying to manage this coronavirus infection and the vaccine rollout in his state. As I said, he's been one of the most visible figures in this pandemic, gaining a devoted following for his straight-talking news conferences. He clearly has higher offices in his sights at a time when the president was denying reality and even writing a book about it called American Crisis. He's also reportedly been discussed as a possible attorney general in the administration of President-elect Joe Biden. I think that'd be a good pick. But we need to get to the bottom of this first. His accuser says that would be a mistake, tweeting that there are few things more scary than giving this man, who exists without ethics, even more control. So she's making a lot of claims, and this is really bordering the words that she's saying and the accusations that she's making are bordering defamation. So she needs to produce some evidence, or she needs to be prepared to feel the wrath, the legal wrath. Her allegations definitely could throw a monkey wrench in his political future. He needs to get a handle on this. If it's true, then he needs to be gone. If it's not true, then he needs to squash her like a bug. This is going to raise new questions about the working environment within New York state government. Needless to say, a lot of staffers are going to be bombarded by the media. New York state government has seen several officials accused of harassment or other misconduct in recent years. So what's going on here? Is there a problem in New York state government? Cuomo is not the only New York official to be subject of these recent harassment allegations. Boylan is 36 years old. She was, according to her LinkedIn page, the governor's office deputy secretary of economic development, a special advisor to the governor, per her LinkedIn page. Since her departure, she has been a public critic of the governor and his office. In 2019, she called into question the office's support for working parents. She also described her experience working for the governor as beyond toxic, endlessly dispiriting. And now she's gone public with a more specific report that the governor sexually harassed her over a period of years, though she has not provided any details. She did describe her frustration with the experience in others' inaction. She also said that, and I know I am not the only woman. No other woman appears to have yet come forward with some public allegations against Cuomo, harassment, or anything else. But other New York State officials and employees have been subject to such reports in recent years. 3 years ago, for example, a former state employee reported that Sam Hoyt, who had recently resigned from his job as a senior level state official, had sexually harassed and assaulted her. Hoyt denied that allegation, but said that the two did have a consensual relationship. In 2018, New York Attorney General Eric Schneiderman resigned after the New Yorker reported that 4 women accused him of physical abuse. So Cuomo has bristled in the past when asked if the New York State government has a problem with harassment, as has been written. So when you say it's state government, you do a disservice to women, with all due respect, even though you're a woman. Okay. It's not government, it's society, he added. It's not just one person in one area. So I don't know what effect this is going to have on Cuomo's political future, but I do not think that the Biden administration is going to bring in an attorney general with some sexual harassment allegations just floating out there. This is a time when Cuomo's political career is at a crossroads. New York State does not have term limits, and Cuomo said that he will seek re-election in 2022. But he's also been discussed as a candidate for higher office. He almost ran for president in 2020, but he obviously did not. But his handling of the pandemic has earned him some high marks with New Yorkers and Americans in general. But these allegations of sexual harassment need to be addressed by Governor Cuomo. We're going to see what happens. He denies the allegation. He denies it. Says that I'm angry to be put in this situation at all. Yep. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section. Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, TikTok at The Dom and K Show, at Radio on Fire. Of course, I am here daily, mornings and evenings, 7 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific for The Dom and K Show. Mainstream media often promotes misinformation. Radio on Fire provides Americans unapologetic, progressive news coverage and opinion. Our outlet challenges the establishment and provides a platform for people to demand positive change while speaking truth to power. I'm going to tell you how I feel. And many times, it may hit you hard. The truth can hurt. But the truth can also set you free. Christmas night, we will be here, 6 p.m., radioonfire.com. See you guys tomorrow.
Ready to change the world?
Ben & Jerry's and Colin Kaepernick are teaming up in the struggle against police violence,
systemic racism,
and white supremacy. It's time to dismantle systems of oppression
and create alternatives rooted in community, accountability, and well-being.
This is what resistance looks like. And it's rooted in joy, love, and justice. All of Colin's proceeds from our new certified vegan non-dairy flavor go to Know Your Rights Camp,
an organization he launched in 2016 to advance the liberation of Black and brown people.
Let's serve up some joy on the journey to justice.
Together, we can change the world.